iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka the Batman. All right, y'all. I'm gonna get in. I'm just gonna jump into a couple of things, and I'm gonna first start off by saying a little something that me up, and if you're gonna repeat my stuff, make sure that you say it right. Okay, and this is gonna be that kind of show. What do you tell a man with two black eyes? Nothing. He's already been told twice. Okay, and I say that because there's certain. It's a couple of topics I'm going to get into. One is that one topic. And I, you know what, and I will have to admit that this is a very good idea. In fact, I don't know if they heard us. I'm gonna shoot this to my man Earl over here, my engineer. He made a comment. He has, we were talking and made a comment maybe about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he said, "Okay," and this is addressing the gun violence that we have here. This is addressing that. He said, and I quote, he said, "You remember back in the day where they had bounties or bounty hunters?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Bounty hunters." He said, "That's what they ought to do with people who are out here doing all this shooting and shit and killing and all this kind of carrying on." And I thought about that. I'm like, you know what? I could go for something like that. Okay. So you say, so you tell me that you would give me $1,000 to turn in a person. Now here's the thing about a bounty. The bounty has to be of significant value in order for people to get on board. And make no mistake, I will be the first mofo. You got a gun, I'm turning you in. Give me that money. Okay, and the money is not contingent on I know it's not contingent on a conviction. It's contingent on I turned in an individual that I know for a fact has a gun, but also there's an added bonus to the incentive that this individual was involved in a violent crime. Okay, just this past weekend, okay, we had a 50-11, and I know you people, and for those people who are a little dumbfounded with the number, 50-11, 50 people shot, 11 fatal. 50 people shot and 11 fatally. Okay. This is the thing to where we can say all we want about the police department, the mayor's office. What can we, hey people, here's the thing. There is a level. Oh, wait a minute, because I know I curse. So see, for also, this is also, I want people to know that, hey, the swear jar is here for a reason, and you all are watching this. You're going to see me actually put my loot into the swear jar this week. You're going to watch me do that. So here, see, it's going in there. So you don't say, okay, he just had it out there, but did he actually put it in there? Yeah, okay. Now, it's in there. So that being said, 50 people, 11 fatal. Okay. Not only that, but there was a mass shooting, and then again, but these are mass shootings. Mass shooting. You had 6 children shot at one time. 6 children. Who shoots children? Animals. Maybe let me retract that, because that's an insult to the animal kingdom. These are not even human beings. These are individuals who are the gooch of society. The gooch of society. And if you don't know what the gooch is that strip of meat between the bag and the back door. That's how low these individuals are. Between the nutsack and the back door. That's how low these individuals are. You will shoot children. I mean, help me understand. This is the gang that can't shoot straight. Now, sidebarring, the 2 weeks ago, we had this up and coming rapper or whatever he was that was gunned down in front of the Cook County. In front of Cook County Jail. He's coming out of the jail. This guy, according to the Emmys report, out of the 70, get this, I kid you not, I can't make this up. I'm not that clever. They recovered 74 shell casings. Out of the 74, he was hit 64 times. Out of the 74, 64 hit their mark. Now, this was a targeted hit. This was a setup because the woman that we have to use a little common sense here. This guy was hit 64 times, and the woman that he was with, she was hit in the knee, grazed in the knee. Here's the thing. Who knew he was getting out? Only two people knew he was getting out. The lady who posted his bail and him. Somebody dimed him out. But my point being is that the people who did the shooting, these are more knuckleheads. But at the same time, I mean, we have to admit, and truthfully be told, I mean, they didn't kill an innocent person or somebody's child. We could say that this guy, we could say they had no right to take his life. Yeah, we get that. Yeah, but you know what? I call it natural causes, because whatever he was into, whatever he was into was the nature, whatever the nature of business that he was in caused his death. Natural causes. That's what that is. That's what it's called. Exactly what it's called. So, you best believe that they're looking into this. You best believe. But going back to what my man was saying, the mayor here in the city of Chicago is actually offering. She's not, because legally she can't say bounty. She can say we're offering a reward. Okay, reward and bounty is kind of the same thing. That's just semantics and play on words. That's all that really is. Because that's it, because if you look at a wanted poster in the Old West, it will say bounty or reward. It's the same thing. There's no difference. But I absolutely agree with that. If you're giving me $1,000 to turn in some rat head bastard who is in possession of a gun that shouldn't, or who is out there shooting and killing and all this kind of absolutely. And a lot of it, and the fact that, okay, you're talking about, and a lot of this is just smoke and mirrors. You're talking about, okay, we're going to bring in this task force, this strike force, this whatever it is. Okay, here's the thing. First of all, if you're trying to stem the trying to stem the flow of illegal guns into your city, you have to look at the higher ups. And even my man said the same thing. You have to look at the higher ups. These are not these are not legitimate businnesmen who are going, these people who have these guns. These are people who are in possession of guns that shouldn't be in possession of. The question is, how are they getting them? Because how are they getting them? My opinion, and I have to, I have to take a page out of my man's book here, is that these guns are being funneled from the higher ups, possibly from FBI, ATF, CPD, anyone that may have access to firearms, because they're getting, how are they, and even to a point to where you can only buy so much stuff online. You can only buy so much, so you wind up getting red flag. So there is a real issue here. That's the real problem, and we have to, at some point, we have, and also too, we have to take responsibility of our own community. We have to take responsibility of because a lot of you out there, who has guns. This. Who has guns. Lil Junebug down the street, he's got a bunch of guns because you've been to his house and seen it. Lil Chrissy, she's got a couple of guns, under her tucked in the cushions of the couch. She might have a little gun wrapped up all up in her hair, or whatever the case may be. She may have a gun elsewhere. You dare not to think. But the point being that these are people who shouldn't be in possession of them. There was an incident to where this was about 10 days ago, where a couple has been charged with child endangerment. Now that's just at the last report, child endangerment. That their 3-year old son somehow or another found the gun in the back seat of the car, and the baby shot himself, killed him, shot and killed himself, gun discharge. You're asking yourself, okay, why is a gun inside the car in an area where a small child may be sitting? Okay, so right now, like I said, child endangerment, but I'm sure those charges are going to escalate because um, because of negligence, and it caused the death of another. So it's very well it can escalate, or it can be upgraded, I should say, not escalate, but upgraded to not only child endangerment, but voluntary manslaughter. And how you come to that conclusion is when your actions causes the death, your reckless actions causes the death of another. That's usually how it goes. So, but that's a couple of that's one of the things that needs to be addressed and how we go about it. I'm absolutely 100% on board with um with creating with her creating a reward, or creating a reward for turning in guns. I mean, just this year alone, when you're talking about turning in over 15,000 illegal firearms, just alone 15,000, that absolutely is ludicrous. Absolutely ludicrous. See, when they're talking about gun laws, these legislators, these lawmakers are targeting the wrong people. See, what you need to do is start targeting the individuals who keep committing these gun offenses. Not to, and while we're talking about gun offenses, the guy that got shot 64 times coming out of Cook County, the reason that this guy was already fighting a case for a felon being in possession of a firearm. He was already fighting a case. Not only that, but he was on electronic monitoring. See, the biggest thing is that we have to look at the court system of saying, why do we keep putting these repeat offenders back out on the street? You catch a gun case, you say you're black, you keep your ass in jail until you go to court. You shouldn't get a bond. You catch it, that's the only way that you have to look at this. If you are a felon who is in possession of a firearm, or you're in possession of an illegal firearm, such as the serial number's been filed off, or you can't give a accountability on why you have this firearm, yeah, you should go to jail. Absolutely, no questions asked. But I you know what, I agree. I agree with you. There should, that might get people to step up and take control of their community, because everybody knows who has the guns. Everybody knows this. It's just a matter that they don't want to cross people, because they have to see and live with these people every single day. So, enough on that. The next thing, the other topic is that this was relatively interesting. That was a topic of a conversation I had with a individual today, and I said, you know what, I'm a shift gears, and I'm gonna go into that. Um, we were, when I last show, when we were talking about um men and males, and we talked somewhat about fatherhood and things of that nature. Um, I was having a conversation with an individual, and he asked the question. He was basically the question was, he couldn't understand why his stepfather didn't go looking, because this is a blended family. He couldn't understand why the stepfather didn't go look for the other children that were lost. And when I say, and it's a complicated, and I had to have him backtrack, because it was relatively complicated. It was a complicated story. So the story goes this way. Um, there was a woman. She was married to this man. And married to this man. They had children. So he, he was who he was, and we have to, and ladies, we have to understand something. You have to understand something. Men are men. A man is going to be a man. Okay, that's the thing that you have to come to terms with, or the realization. Okay, men are men, and men are going to do what men do, good or bad, right or wrong. They're going to do that. Okay, and it's the same, and it works the same way on the other side with women. But but going to the meat of this story, um years went by, blah blah blah, and so the woman, she wind up taking up with another man, and she wind up having children. She wind up having other children with this man while she was married to another man, but they had went their separate ways. So, as this man, he's aged, he's older, up in age and things of that nature. And what his question was, he couldn't understand why this man didn't go looking for his other children. And so my response was, well, are you a parent? And he says, well, his response was, well, what does that have to do with it? That has everything to do with it, because you have parents. You have a person that, how I put it, there's a difference. You have a caring person, a caring parent, and you have an individual. I told him that this individual did not care enough to look for these children because he didn't want to be a parent to begin with. You have to want to be a parent. You have to want to be that loving individual, that nurturing individual. And from a man's perspective, he has to want to do that. This is one of the things that we kind of get sidetracked with, and having to explain to him, because this person, he doesn't have any children, so it's difficult to explain certain things to a person of parenting when they don't have children, opposed to someone who does have children. That's the difference between some men and some males. There are men out here. There are individuals out here. There are males, and then there are men. We have to understand the difference. Understanding the difference. When you have a male, and this is an individual who just has who really doesn't want any type of accountability, or accountability on what he does, and he's just running rampant and running wild and doing whatever he wants, and there's no consequences to his actions. Opposed to a man, he is going to take into consideration a lot of the things that he does, his actions, the things that he do, the things that he said, the type of women that he may involve himself with. Opposed to a male will not look at that, look at those factors. Will not. We have to look at the two. So as I'm explaining to him about this, and I said, and relating my own experiences to him, is saying, okay, well, see, I'm a father, so I understand. I see. If my children went missing or whatever, I'm going to hunt for them. I'm going to look for them. But if that is not something that is within me to even care where they are, what they're doing, I'm not going to do it. That's just something that some people have and some people don't. So it's explaining this to him, and explaining this to him in the best, in the most generic way, or layman's way. This individual did not care enough about you or the other children to come look for you, to even want to know. Okay, that's no, and that is not a slight. That's not a slight against the, again. I told him it's not a slight against your mother. It's just that she just had a man. It's not a slight against your mother. It's just that she just had a man that just did not care, or that just did not care, and that was just not who he was and what he did. He was more concerned about what he can do and what he can get, and concern and being a selfish individual. And also too, when you have these type of individuals that are like that, and when you have individuals that are just strictly males, Those are the most selfish individuals on the face of the earth. Selfish, because they're just thinking about themselves and not anyone else. Opposed to a man, he's going to think about not only himself, but those around him, his mate, his children, his friends and associates. He's going to take those things into consideration. The other thing, this is the other thing. This is also touching on something. This is also for something for food for thought. Also, ladies, you also have to take this into consideration. Do you want a man or do you want a male? There's a difference. I said there is a difference. There's a difference. If you have a male in the house, because basically all if you're that kind of individual, or if you're that kind of woman, you're that desperate to where you just want some dick in the house, then just get you a male. Because that's really what it boils down to. Because there is no bridging of anything. He's just there to get what he can get, and you don't, and you're there because and you don't want to be alone. That's the truth of the matter. Point blank period. You just want dick in the house. So you don't get you a male. You don't get you a man. You get you a male, because some of you you're afraid of being alone. Listen, there's nothing wrong with being alone. Also too, there's nothing wrong with being alone, but you're also being selective. Now, if you have a man in the house, a man in your life, and a man in the house, this is a person who is going to he's going to start to put things in place. He is structured, he is disciplined, he is organized. It's not about thinking about having that's not even what he's not even thinking about dick in the house. He's not even thinking about that this is a woman that I'm sleeping with, or I'm going to be with on there. He's thinking about the long term. He's thinking longevity. He's thinking long term. This is something. Hey, this is a person. I'm digging this person. This is somebody that I want to build something with. This is what men do, as I said before, and I'm gonna keep saying it until I'm drilling into your head. Boys play house. Men build homes. Know the difference. You have this man. Now, don't get it confused. We all have we all got baggage. And most men, and men, yes, we have baggage. We have baggage. There may be things that we may be involved in or doing, or whatever the case may be. But that's it, to a certain degree. And this is no excuse. But this is unfortunately, this is what how some men are. And it was even said, and I go back to a conversation that was asked. And wait, in my in my younger days, in my youth, I think, because the question was asked to me by a woman, am I not enough for you? And like, what do you mean? Well, am I, and I said, be more specific. And my response was, yeah, you're enough for me. But you have to realize this: as men, we like a little variety. Now, let me clarify. Let me expand on that term, on that word, variety. Variety. It doesn't. It could. It's not. It's two things. It could mean that, okay, he enjoys the company of women, because it doesn't necessarily mean that he's involved with them intimately. He may be involved with them just for the conversation, just to hear from a woman's point of view, just to pick her brain, to listen to her listen to her intellect of things, her ideology. Listening. And see, this is one of the things that men do. A man does. He listens to this woman. He listens to different women. He observes. Whereas a male, It's white noise to him. All he's concerned about is getting you on your back, legs in the air, and 10 toes to Jesus, and the ooh and the on and the old baby this, and call me Big Daddy, and all this kind of carrying on. That's a male. Whereas that man, he's not. He's going to work to get to that point. Should it get to that point, because he's interested in more than just what you can provide him sexually, provide him for his body. Men want women who possess a level of intellect, a level of intelligence, because when the both of you are on the same page, you're able to build together. There's a script. There's a scripture in the Bible, and it goes this way. And it's right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, it'll come back to me. It will come back to me. Okay. How can two walk together except they agree? That's man and a woman. That's men understanding that woman. How can two walk together except they agree? Nobody's saying that it's going to be perfect, but you all have to agree on 90% of the things that you're doing, or you're involved, or creating, or building. A real man likes building things. He likes the foundation, the structure, and the creation, and he likes to, and not only that, but there are men who enjoy doing that, and they want someone to share that process with. A male doesn't, because he has no concept of the process. He has no concept of building. His only thought is, I'm gonna get what I can get. Once again, that is a selfish man. Selfish man. Keep your eye, ladies. Open your eyes, ladies. Open your eyes. Look at the men. If you're in a relationship, look at and pay attention to that man. Pay attention. If there are things that he is doing that I just described, then you ask yourself, damn, is this damn, I have to ask myself, is this one? Let me think. Oh, let me guess. Let me look at this. Is this motherfucker a man, or is he a male? Let me see. Let me think about this. Is he helping you structure? Is he helping you to build things? Is he helping you create structure in your life? Is he helping you create a balance? Is he helping you create he's helping you organize? And also the other thing, the most important thing too, if you have a man, if this man is these things that, if this man is all of that, you know what, you all, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to take a break. Because we got to straighten something out right quick, but we're going to take us a brief intermission. We will be right back in 30 seconds here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio.
Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.
These niggas think it ain't crazy out here. That bounce. Y'all gotta pardon me tonight. I feel like a superhero up in here.
Hey, and we're back here on iHeart Intellectual Radio, Black Conservative Radio. I am your host, Alan J. Campbell, aka The Dark Knight. So, with that being so, we definitely, because you know what, one of the things that we have to do sometimes, I want to make sure that we do what we call drops. And so what the drop is, that means I mention my sponsors, and I say and keep in mind right behind me, Intellectual Radio. So, but with that being said, hey, who do I have on the phone, and where are you calling from?
This is Jay from Georgia.
Oh, what's happening in Georgia? What's happening? All right, people. All right, you already know what time it is. At some point or another, Georgia, we got to get you. and I know it's a travel, but we got to get you on the show, bro.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that. But in the meantime, let's jump right into it. You mentioned a statement, how can two walk together except they agree?
Correct.
So that's a very good premise, and it's biblical, but I call it hocus pocus, because hocus pocus is something that we call upon or conjure when it is convenient and we want a convenient result. You do not train animals, whether they be oxen, whether they be horses, whether they be mules, or whether they even be dogs. You do not train them and expect their training to latch in one simple engagement. It takes a process of yoking those two together, and as they are yoked, they have to learn each other's movements and be underneath the yoke of a greater agenda, which is, where is the master leading them? So I think we got to be very clear that, excuse my French, the car doesn't drive itself. Okay? It needs balance, alignment, suspension, and the drivetrain or the driving force. So let's look at that part, because that's definitely a part that we completely overlook. Somehow this magical kingdom of people yoking together and this, that, and thus saith the Lord, and now pronounce you this and that, and somehow magically, like hocus pocus, this is supposed to work. Like Cinderella and the magic pumpkin and the glass slipper. It doesn't work like that.
No,
it requires a process, and it requires a level of cohesive submission. The other part of that is we have to engage ourselves or really challenge ourselves, take a look in the mirror and find out what the hell was the meaning of the connection. We got a lot of people who are connecting with other people like you take in stray dogs off the street.
Yeah.
No plan. Yeah. There's no vetting process. Just something to do that, I don't know, turns into something else. And then for some strange reason, unbeknownst to me, you lay expectations down like this stray dog is supposed to walk upright and become Denzel Washington. So there's a guy occasionally I listen to. His name is Kevin Samuels. He's an image consultant / I guess relationship consultant or whatever. But he speaks on a couple of hot points of people understanding their market value. And that's a very controversial concept, because in an age where everyone has been lied to and deceived and reduced to the Charlie Brown syndrome, that we're all equal and that we all get an award and that we all are special, if everyone's special, then no one's exceptional. And that's where we are. And that sort of perversion or distortion, I think distortion is probably a better word, that sort of distorted view has destroyed people's idea of how a relationship is supposed to function. Key word is, how is it supposed to function? Some of y'all don't even have a function. So it goes back to the yoking process. Even in the yoking process, you yoke an older animal with a younger animal, but they're both of the same general size. But you're using the experience of the older animal to help train the younger animal on how to do two things: shore up the weight and pull their proper proportion to the load. So, I mean, I know these are animalistic terms and people don't like to be reduced and compared to animals, but at the end of the day, it's function. What is your function? Do you even know your function?
And that's a very let me interject. That is a very good analogy and question. What is your function? That is a very and I'm glad I'm glad you mentioned that. And people actually, and it's the part to where when he said do the evaluate. This is where we have to start doing evaluation. If we're with someone, there has and when let's say evenly yoked, that means that the weight is that means that everybody has a job. So that means that it's the weight is equally distributed. The responsibility is and not only that, but as you said, Georgia, the stronger one guides and teaches the younger one, or as well as we say in a relationship, or as we say in there are two types of people. There are the learned, and then there are the unlearned. And it's the job of the learned person or the learned individual to teach the unlearned. It is the job as we talk about this, and this is the part of what I said when I alluded to earlier about a man and a male. But go ahead.
And as we even get into that concept of man versus male, first of all, you should ask yourself the question, what, again, is the function? Because realistically, you don't really want a man. You just want a male. A man requires certain expectations of things.
Right.
Any man that doesn't have expectations, that in itself is already a problem. By definition, if we go by, what we're supposed to do, the man is supposed to set the agenda for where you're going, what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. He's the steward, and we've used that
term before.
A couple of times.
Uh-huh.
It's a steward. What is the job of a steward? The job of a steward is to take on the ownership and the daily managerial processes of the Lord of the house. So
say that again. The what?
the Lord of the house. Some of y'all keep getting all mixed up in these little religious foolishness. Lord has nothing to do with religion. It's a designation of power.
Designation of power. That's what it is. It is.
Okay? It's a designation of power. And the problem is you tend to function in such rebellion, you can't even recognize power. Any power or any part of the how should we put it? Anytime you are put under a level of power or a level of authority, you rebel. So that's yet another thing that you got to deal with. See, we have to have real conversations and real expectations. Because half of what you're seeing is people who are in situations where their market value is way underestimated. You're asking for stuff that you, from the market value standpoint, don't even have the opportunity or the equity to require. That's like a person who demands a Mercedes-Benz as a vehicle that they want to finance, when their credit and their income says this person should probably remain on Uber. But that's our thinking. Somehow, again, because of the level of entitlement that is pervasive, people who should really deal with Uber, and there's nothing wrong with that, please, but who really don't understand or are not capable of continuing the responsibility of car ownership,
And the key
Again,
thing,
you get a car,
right?
you have to put gas in it. You have to maintain it. You have to keep insurance on it. God forbid you get a flat tire.
Yeah, and like you
and you
said,
have to pay a car note on it.
like you said,
See,
and
those are all responsibilities that are attached to this luxury or this asset. That's the same in any office of life. There are attachments that there are responsibilities that are attached to these things.
right.
When you go to school, there's an attachment of responsibility. You go to school, what are you responsible for? To show up, to prepare yourself, to bring the required materials or the provided materials, to participate. Are those not responsibilities?
Oh, absolutely. Level of preparedness.
So all of that, it's the same thing. But for some reason, and I have to go back to Charlie Brown, I seriously believe that we are living in the age where the Charlie Brown children are now running the world.
And that in itself is a strong statement when you say that.
Because if you understand the psychology of Charles Schultz, he reduced everything and every common problem down to the level of a third grader. Every ego, every discord, every particular social issue, he reduced it down to the level of a third grader. And the problem is, in my opinion, across this generalized situation, what you're talking about, male men and otherwise, we've not gotten past the third grade level.
Mm-hmm.
And we're still on the baseball field playing tricks like Lucy and Charlie Brown. And we're wondering why this hasn't changed. That's all I got.
All right. Appreciate it. And he, you know what? That's, and that, once again, feed your brain, food for thought. These are things that we have to start. We have to expand our mind. We have to open our mind to different things. And as he said, if you're looking at this from a real perspective, what's going on now is that it is the Charlie Browns. The Charlie Brown children are running the world. This is where we're at. This is where we're at. Once we get a better, and this is gathered, and see, sometimes there's some people who don't want a better understanding because they are content in the station that they're at, but then there are others who want more of an understanding and going into the term and I can't stress this enough. Going into the term or the word philosophy. Philosophy, the meaning, the love of wisdom. Philosophy, meaning, is the love of wisdom. And the only way we can grasp that is that we have to see. This is also the thing about philosophy, seeing things for what they really are and not what we want them to be. As I said, as Georgia indicated, there are things that we have to understand. We have to start looking at a man or a male. A man or a male. Ladies, if you got a man, if you have an individual, and you're looking at this individual, and his mind is still that of a third grader, to where he hangs out. He's 35, 40, and he's still hanging out with teenagers. You have to ask yourself, you have to ask yourself about his mentality. Is this somebody that you want to have kids by? Is this somebody that you have kids by? If this somebody that you want to have children by? If this somebody that you want even in your house? Ask yourself these questions, opposed to where you're looking at this man and he's out there building. He's out there creating. And not only that, but he's creating things not only for himself, but he's creating things for the person who may be and who is in his life, who may be in his life, or who is soon to come into his life. Operative word, who is in his life, and who is to come into his life. The operative word, And scripturally says that when a man findeth a wife, he findeth a good thing. And the operative word, ladies, is that when a man finds you, not you out there hunting him down. Doesn't work that way. Because sometimes you wind up hunting for the wrong things, and you mess around and you get something that you don't. You get some wounded wildebeest out there that you don't want to be bothered with. These are the things that we have to start. We if we don't start now and then start educating our first generation of children, and to so they're able to educate the second generation and the third generation of children, to where you can put an end to certain levels of dysfunction of women, broken women attracting broken men attracting broken women. There has to be a point to where we have to look at things for the reality of it. When you have a man, and the part about man, if there is a man and he discovers that the woman that he may be with or associating with is broken, a real man, a true man, is going to help her. Is going to guide her through the tough times. Is going to guide her through tough times. He's going to guide her through the difficult. He's going to help set things right. He's going to help her build things to where he's going to help her create a sense of self-worth. He's not going to tear her down. He's going to help her. He's going to assist. Now, on the flip side, when you have a broken individual, a broken woman, she has to want to be fixed too. You have to want the help. You can't be in an ideology or a mentality of the fetus. You can't live like that. You can't always think that the world is set against you. It's not. The world is not set against anybody. We don't have that kind of power. You have set yourself. People say the world is against me. No, you're a lie. You're a goddamn lie. You are against the world because this is your mentality. This is how you're thinking. You're thinking defeatist. This is the once again, like like he said with Charlie Brown. Charlie Brown always thought everything and everybody was against him. That is the mind of a defeatist. Charlie Brown never saw anything. He never saw anything good. Anything. Whereas Linus, he saw good in everything. Good. What just didn't matter. He just saw it. So we have to look. There are things that we have to. You have to every day. And this is so fun. This is really funny. We have to understand this too. There is somebody out there for everybody, regardless to what you may say or think. But you have to realize this too. That somebody that's out there, they're going to come in the time that God has set forth, the time that God has prescribed, that's prescribed. It might be 15, it might be 5 or 15 years before that person come along that you and he or you and she wind up meshing, wind up coming together. But at the same time, are you preparing yourself for their arrival instead of hunting them down, hunting for something, looking for something? Whatever. Here's the other thing that sometimes we have to look at. We have to look at our teachings as far as spirituality. Sometimes our teachings can be the cause of why we are suffering or why we're going through certain things, whether it's physical or financial or mentally. Our teachings could be bad. The teachings could be wrong. Our teachings could be false. They could be, or also sometimes the teachings are self-serving, or they're damning, or they're condemnation. That is why it's important for you. That is why it's important, ladies, for when you're getting for the teaching, all your teaching should come from the man of the house, from the head of your household, from that man who is at the head of your household. He is He's not, understand this, he's not perfect. He's not perfect. No man is. But if there are things that are of sound, that if there are things that are of sound, sound judgment, it would behoove you to listen. It would behoove you to help him, to assist. If you have a man who has dreams and aspirations of building something to where the both of you benefit from it, it is your job, it is your duty to aid and to help and assist, because whatever he builds and gets, and whatever the income is, or whatever, however it comes, you benefit from that too. This is a man who is building. He is building things. There was a man that I grew up with. He was more like a mentor, and I watched. He was um, um, he was a carpenter by trade, and I can't remember his first name, but we called him Mr. Ross. And he was a carpenter by trade. And I watched this man. This was a man. Not only was he good with his hands, but building physical, but he also built up the men that were around him mentally by the things that he would say, the things he would do. And me being a young man, listening to this man, um, speaking knowledge and wisdom, and not only that, but how to be, but under that, but how to be a man, how to do things, how to function, how to operate. And the things that I remember that he would tell, that he told me, and and some of these things I still use today. Now, make no mistake, the man was not perfect, and I realized that. But whatever whatever you can take from that individual that is going to be beneficial, that's what you do. We understand, we get this, we understand this. And sometimes, you get women that look at their man, or look at the man, or and say, well, you did this, and you did that, and so on and so forth. Okay, but at the same time, nobody said it was perfect. But at the end of the day, if this is a person who is doing for you, making sure that you have making sure that let me phrase that, he's making sure that all of your needs and wants are met. That is a man who is focused on the here and now. He know, yes, he's got his faults. We all do. None of us are perfect. None of us. None of us. But ladies, but there are points to where you get the full. If you're getting the full knowledge, you're getting the full understanding. And sometimes there are things that men do. There is no explanation, because that's just what men do. If he's and if he's if there are things that he is doing, or as I would often say, sometimes, and I know you might disagree, but this is the truth of this is the reality of life. Sometimes that, yes, sometimes we do bad things for a greater good. Sometimes you have to do something to achieve a greater good. And that's only because that is the world that we live in. The world that we live in. And once you understand the world that we live in, everything else doesn't matter. You have a full understanding. Just get an understanding. Hey, this is the way the world is. This is the matrix of how it is. There's good, there's bad. You can't have one without the other. You can't. Not in this current not in this current environment. You just cannot. There are broken women, there are broken men. But the thing about a broken man, sometimes you don't see that, because he has to suppress that in order to remain strong for those around him. Some men suppress those things because they have to remain strong. They have because they have been looked upon for so long as that voice of reasoning, as that lighthouse, as that pillar. And sometimes as a man, we tend to we tend to forget ourselves forget to do for ourselves, forget ourselves or forget to do for ourselves in order to supply the needs of another. That's what a man does, not a male. Because if it's a male, he's not going to care one rat's ass about who has what. Only thing that's going to matter to him is that he has for himself. He's not going to care about that woman. He's not going to care about those children. He's not going to care about anything but himself. He barely care. He barely care. He barely cares enough about himself. All he's concerned about is what he can get for himself. Damn anybody else. But as far as a man is concerned, he's not concerned about himself. He's concerned about those that are under his charge, that are under his authority, those that are in his charge. He's going to make sure that they have the things that they need, and then if it's in his power, then he's going to provide some of the things that they want. As Georgia said early on, when you have you're taking two animals and you put them in a yoke. The idea is that the yoke is designed that both animals work together. One can't go left and the other one can't go right, because that creates a problem. And when you have animals that are like, when you have an animal, and this has happened, when you have a set of, or as my grandmother used to say, when she would talk about people, she said she would look at a couple and she said, you know what, those two, their horses don't sit straight. Their horses don't sit right. The horses don't sit right with them. And I didn't understand what that meant. I'm thinking, okay, what the hell does that mean? The horses don't sit right. If you've ever seen a team of horses and you have one horse that just completely buck wild or buck wild, rebellious, or disobedient, just won't do anything, it disrupts the entire team. So what the farmer does is that he removes that particular horse, or he puts that horse to the rear of the team to get some act right, because then he's closer to put some act right in that horse. And I'm not saying that I'm not saying that you have to treat a human being that way, but unfortunately there are some of you all that, yes, you have to be treated in a manner to where you have to be treated you have to be treated like you're a child, or like you're a beast of the field, to get some act right. When it's not necessary, just if you're with the team, follow the team, be with the team. You're all together. And when you have a man that is with a woman, and they have an understanding from the very beginning, that's when the yoke is set in place, or the team of horses are put in place, and they're both going in the same direction. So if you're in a relationship right now, first of all, ladies, ask yourself, are you with a man, or are you with a male? Fellas, ask yourself this question. Are you with a woman who aspires to excel her intellect and to build something with you, or are you with someone who is that rebellious horse, or that beast that's in the yoke that wants to go their own way? You all have to ask yourselves these questions. You have to ask these questions. These are questions, as Georgia said, we have to start having these real conversations. Real conversations. When you're talking with men, when we're talking about women, and you have a woman that has that just has this mouthy, she has a mouth on her, and she's so disrespectful. You have to ask yourself that question: is this somebody that I want to continue to be with? Ladies, If you just, and the same thing, if you have a man who is so respectful when he talks to you, he talks to you as if you are a beast, as an animal. You have to ask yourself, is this somebody that I really need? Is this somebody that I want to be with for, for the duration of the time being? Ask yourself these questions. If this man talks to you less than a human being, or less than a human being, and he discounts your self-worth or your opinion, think about that. Men, the same thing. If this woman has all the mouth in the world and talks to you in a way that is so disrespectful, to where she feels a level of entitlement, she feels that she's your equal, ask yourself this question: is this somebody that you want to continue to be with, or to be with? Make no mistake about it. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. And a real man is not going to take a woman, a mouthy woman. And a real woman is not going to deal with a disrespectful man. So with that being said, you all, I see the lights flashing in the distance and the helicopter has just landed, which means that that's all the time we have here on tonight's show, Black Conservative Radio. A shout out to my man, Alex, over there on 85th and Cottage Grove. Shout to Captain Hooks, 85th and Cottage Grove, 103rd and King Drive, and 15922 South Kedzie in Markham, Illinois. So with that being said, you all, not my monkey, not my circus.
To the
See y'all next
Batmobile.
week.
Let's go. Atomic batteries to power. Turbines to speed.
Roger. Ready to move out.